Good morning. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hope you're well. It would be wonderful to hear where you're joining us from today and what the weather's like. I'm always quite keen to know what the weather's like. I'm in London and it is cold and sunny. Where are you, Manal?
I'm in West London, and it is much the same, cold and sunny.
Yeah, it's lovely. And if you could let us know the weather where you are, that'd be wonderful, and where you're joining us from. Thank you so much. We'll just wait till we get everybody in and we'll get cracking. So I hope you've been joining Small Business Saturday. The tour are well on their way up and down the country. They're in St Albans today, visiting loads of small businesses. It's been fantastic. So give them a little support on Instagram and on social media if you can. They've been celebrating and meeting all these amazing, amazing small businesses. So we're getting really excited about Small Business Saturday on the 7th of December. What were you going to be doing? Do let us know. What are you doing? Are you out and about? Are you hosting something? Have you got something going on in your business? Oh, let's see. Frosty and a bit foggy in Oxford. Very cold in Cornwall. Hi, Mark. Grantham. Very cold. Oh, dear. Yeah, it's definitely winter, isn't it? Very cold in Manchester. Is it raining, though? Is it raining? That's the only question for Manchester, isn't it? Let's see. Sunny in Leeds. Brilliant. Cloudy and grey in North Devon, freezing in Bristol. Emma's here, bless you. Very cold, very cold. Right. So I think we're all having a very cold, wintry day, but we're here to warm your cockles with a load of marketing goodness, courtesy of the wonderful Minal Patel. As always, if you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, use the Q&A box or use the chat, and I'm sure we'll have time to get to them at the end. And we are doing webinars every day in the lead up to Small Business Saturday at this time. So keep an eye out on all the promotions. They've been fantastic so far. So I will hand over to lovely Manal and enjoy all this marketing wonderness. Thanks, Manal.
Thank you, Karen. I'm so happy to be doing this webinar for Small Business Saturday. It is probably my most favourite time of the year. I love everything that is like building to the big day. Obviously, I'm here to talk about email marketing. You can use everything that I talked to you about today in all that you do to promote what you're doing for Small Business Saturday. And everything that I'm going to talk to you about today works with whatever email marketing tool you use. I will be talking quite a bit about Constant Contact because that's what I use and I love it. But everything that I talk about today, you can use whatever email marketing tool you use. I am an absolutely big fan of email marketing. It's important for all types of businesses, whether you're a service provider or a product business. And there are lots of reasons that it is important. But for me, it boils down to two things. Number one, you're in control of your communications. You own your email list. You control how you communicate with it. You are not trying to figure out how to beat those blasted social media algorithms. Number two, it has a really great return on investment. For every £1 you spend on email marketing, you can get on average £36 back. So that is a fantastic return on investment. Now, when it comes to email marketing, people mostly think about newsletters. That's one thing, but there are loads of different ways that you can use email marketing. And of course, you can use it to promote your business. Before we get started, I just want you to take a look at these statistics. To me, this is a massive opportunity to communicate with my target audience and for you, for your target audience. Every so often, I see things about email marketing and about how it's not as great as social media, or it's difficult to use, or whatever it is. But honestly, I think that it is absolutely something that has to be in your marketing toolkit. And more than that, people are actually expecting you to communicate with them through email. Before we get started, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. So I have been running my business for nearly 9 years. And I've in that time, I've really talked about email marketing a lot, but I don't know if you know this, but before I started my business, for 4 years before that, I actually worked for Constant Contact when they were here the first time round. And it was there that I really fell in love with small businesses. I come from a family of small business owners. And I'll tell you, as a kid, it's not fun with your parents running their own business because there's not a lot of time for you as a child. But it wasn't until I started at Constant Contact and I really experienced small business owners myself and really saw the passion and the drive that I really understood what my parents were trying to do when they ran their small businesses. They were trying to build a better life for me and my sisters. And that's what made me fall in love with small businesses. And when I was made redundant, which is a whole other story, I decided that I was going to take the leap and create my own business. I was going to take my 20 plus years of marketing experience and really help small business owners in a way that I felt was good for them. I absolutely love working with any type of small business. I equip them with everything that they need to know about email marketing and marketing. So I still talk to them about marketing, and we do that in a way that works for them. I'm a certified Constant Contact partner, which means I have to take an exam every year to test my product knowledge and my email marketing knowledge. I also love working with Small Business Britain and Small Business Saturday because they work with the types of businesses that feed my soul. I'm a volunteer locally. I help our local business forum, and I also volunteer half a day a month for a local hospice to help them with their email marketing. Now, this would not be a session about email marketing if I didn't tell you about my email list. I send a weekly email on Tuesdays, and it's called the Marketing Morsel. It's short and sweet, and it has tips to help you to perfect your email marketing. It's more of a club, really. It's got perks that don't cost you a thing because I want to pay it forward with what I've learned about email marketing in the last 12 years, but especially everything that I've learned for doing it myself for the last 9 years. Yes, I do it all. It's just me and my business, and I do everything. So scan that QR code and I will send you a small present to say thank you. And of course, you can find me on social media. I'm mostly on LinkedIn, and I am starting to build out my YouTube channel with email marketing tutorials, as well as other things about marketing for small business. Okay, let's get to why you're here. First impressions matter. So when someone opens your email, what they see is going to determine what they do next. The chances are that you want them to take a next step, right? You want them to register for an event, you want them to buy something, maybe you want them to visit your website, maybe you want them to visit your shop. Okay, this is where beautiful professional looking email that's designed to drive action is crucial. People make snap judgments. They make snap judgments about whether to open your email or not. They make snap judgments about whether to read your email or not, and that's based on a really quick glance. Really, really quick. So do you want your emails to make a great impression? Do you want it to look like the email on the left that really doesn't look that interesting? And that's an irregular email that you would send from like your Outlook or Gmail or Yahoo account. Or on the right, an email sent through a service provider like Constant Contact. An email from a service provider looks better. It gets you noticed. It's got your branding on it. It's got your logo on it. You can put in images that capture your reader's attention. You've got great graphics, great call to action. It really helps you to stand out. And from a purely legal perspective, they manage all of the contacts for you. They manage the unsubscribes. They make sure that you're staying on the right side of GDPR. It also helps you to get your emails delivered. So Constant Contact has a really high deliverability rate. It's in the high 90s. Earlier this year, when they came over, I was at a dinner with their CEO and a couple of other senior members of the team. And the CEO said that their email deliverability is something like 98%. And when you stack that up against organic reach on Facebook, which is around 2%, you can see that email marketing is a really great tool for you to use. So you need a list if you're going to use email marketing. And honestly, if you don't ask, you don't get. That's my most favorite saying ever. You have to make that ask, right? It applies to people joining your email list. You need to ask in all the places that you come into contact with your target audience. That could be your website, business cards, networking events, trade shows, your invoices on social media. The list goes on and on. You need to know exactly who you're targeting so that you can be in all the places that they are to be able to ask them. But you need to ask in a way that makes them think, yes, actually, I want to get that email. I want to receive that email every week, every month. And that's setting some expectations. It's creating what I call your value statement. You're going to tell them how often you receive they will receive your newsletter every week on a Tuesday. You're going to tell them what is in it for them because they need to know that. Tips on email marketing, perks that you can get that aren't available anywhere else. So you need to set that expectation, work out what is best for you. In terms of frequency, I would say that sending more often is better. If you can't manage weekly, which is what I do, think about twice a month. It's great to send more often. You can send more often, more regularly, but you can send more often if you split your email list into segments and you can send them people things that are relevant to them, which means that you could send an email every day, but not everyone's going to get every email you send. So create that value statement. Once you've got that, work out where your ideal audience hangs out. Work out, ask in all those places. And remember, if you don't ask, you don't get. So make it easy for them to join. QR codes, links, apps. Make it really simple for them to join your email list. So they're on your list and you want to send them relevant stuff. But when it comes to what you put in your emails, it's really important that you write content for your audience and not yourself. And here's why. 38% of people will unsubscribe from emails if they are boring, if they think that content is boring or irrelevant. And when a person unsubscribes, you're not going to be able to communicate with them again. 32% will send messages, relevant messages. And remember, irrelevant is in the eye of the beholder. They will send irrelevant content to their spam folder. And that could impact how email providers like Gmail and Yahoo sort your future messages. So you do not want to get those spam reports. So what should you send? Well, your email strategy should include a mixture of types of emails. You might want to send a promotional email. That's great. Generally, they have an end date attached to them, like the example on the left. But you also would send informational emails. It might be something like a blog post or a video that you've created. Maybe you're hosting a webinar. You want to really have a mix of these two types of emails, and you want there to be more informational emails than there are promotional emails. I generally recommend that you have an 80-20 split. 80% of the time, it's content for them, content they find interesting, informative, entertaining, if that's relevant to your business, if it's appropriate. It has 80% of the time stuff for them. 20% of the time, because you have a business, you need to sell stuff. 20% of the time, it's about you. But it can't be all about you because no one likes to be sold to all the time. So let's talk about how much content is enough, because I know that a lot of small businesses struggle. They think that they don't have enough things to write about. And I can tell you that my emails generally I would say that I probably write, sometimes I write as few as 10 lines of text. 10 lines of text, it's not difficult. But think about how often you look forward to receiving a really long, detailed email. No one's got the time, right? People want to know the point. They want to get to the point really quickly. They want to know what the sale is, what the deal is. They want to know what the event is. And basically, they want to know what you want them to do next. So when it comes to email marketing content, less is more. There's no rule that says your newsletter has to have 3 articles, 3 links, or whatever it is. One thing is just enough. And in fact, when I worked at Constant Contact, there was a customer whose newsletter was called One Thing. And he did it to make it easy on himself. It works really well. People can absorb the information, and he's not under the cush to come up with loads of content. And realistically, that's probably what influenced me when I decided to start my newsletter. And I really only ever wanted to talk about one thing per email. Now, actually, Constant Contact did do a study of all like their customer emails. I think I can't remember how many emails they analysed, millions or even billions. What they found was that emails with 20 lines of text or fewer and 3 images or fewer were the ones that performed the best. Just like you, your audience is busy. You don't need to worry about sending, loads of information every time. You can make this really easy on yourself by just writing short bits of content. The most important thing is that if you do have lots of things to share the thing that you really want them to take action on right at the top. Make that the first thing that they read about. Now, remember, we all spend quite a bit of time on our mobiles, and we read our emails on the mobile. And that piece of research that Constant Contact did also showed that one link in an email gets the best click-through rate. You want your audience to take action. So use a link and make that clear. You can see from this graph, the more links that have been added to an email, the quicker the click-through rate drops off. Okay. So if you have lots of things to share, that's fine, but put the most important thing at the top. And if you can, focus on one thing in your email, particularly if it's a sales email. You do not want to distract them with other stuff. Focus on that one thing. I love images in emails because an image can communicate so much. I know there are some email marketing experts who say, oh, you should only send text emails. They perform better. But if the image that you use supports the content of your email, people process images much faster. They get to the point much quicker. And your images can be content too, because whatever email marketing tool you use, you can actually add links to the images that you have in your emails. And those links should be the place where you want people to take action. So if you want them to book a holiday, that view listings link should go to exactly the place where they can do that. If you want them to follow you on Instagram, guess what? You're taking them straight to your Instagram account. So make sure you include a link. For me, I think including a call to action in every email is pretty important, because you want to judge how well that email is performing. And you don't do that through the opens, but more on that later. Keep that action, the action that you want them to do, above the scroll. That's before they thumb up and scroll down. That's really important, because if they don't read the rest of it, it doesn't matter. They've seen what you want them to do next. And limit the choices. Like I said, if you can talk about one thing, that's going to have the most impact for you. I always, whenever I go out to dinner, there's always a bit of pressure when they bring the menus, for me at least, because if someone brings me a menu that's a book with a gajillion choices, I can tell you that I am always the last one to pick what I want. And it's always a pressure choice because the waiter, waiting impatiently is taking everyone else's orders. And I invariably pick something that isn't even as great as what everyone else has picked. I get food envy. But if someone gives me a menu with fewer choices, it's a really easy choice for me to make. And I pick something that I enjoy. So limit those choices. You need to be recognizable. Okay, it's critical. Your branding needs to be on those emails. It's going to help with the success of your emails. So do these two things. Optimize for mobile. That means having single column templates that every email service provider now provides email responsive templates that will resize automatically to the size of screen that's been the email's being read on. But you need to do things like make sure that the text is big enough, that the images are clear enough, that if you've got any text overlaid on images, that's legible. So make sure that what you're doing is optimizing for email. You're designing for mobile first. And then ensure consistent branding. You can see on this slide, you've got my purple and green. If you get an email from me, those two colors feature because those two colors are on my website, and there are lots of other things that say this thing is from Marketing by Manal. So make sure that you do that and you look like it, that email looks like it's coming from you. Okay. You want people to pay attention. You want them to do stuff. You've sent that email out. You've worked really hard on putting it together. So how can you make sure that people actually do something? Number one, make sure they know who that email is from. People look at who the email is from, and that's one of the things that helps them decide whether they're going to open that email. And it's a split-second decision. So use a friendly from name. Luckily, my first name is in my business name. So people know that email is from me. If you have a business name that doesn't include your first name, consider in the from space to put your first name dash your business's name. We are the people behind our business, and people want to know us. People want to know who the small business owner is. Why wouldn't you use your name? Just make sure you include your business name too. If you're only going to use a first name, you definitely want to put your business name in the from line. The next thing is a compelling subject line. So the subject line plus who it's come from are the two things that in that split second, people will go, oh, I need to read this, or, oh, yeah, no, I'll look at that later. And later never happens. You want them to do it now. So think about how you write your subject lines. There are lots of things that you can do to encourage people to open your emails. You can use intrigue, you can use questions, numbers, humor, again, if it's appropriate for your business. But people really only read the first two words of your subject line, so make that count. The one word that you can use, not all the time, but that will help people decide that they want to open your email is you. Because people think that's for them. So make that subject line compelling and use the pre-header text, the preview text, as a support to the subject line to help you give people more of an idea of what that email contains. For one of my clients this week, they had two events happening this week, and one was actually for Small Business Saturday, and another was a networking event. And there was going to be mince pies at the networking event, and there was a cake seller at the Small Business Saturday event. So my subject line was cakes and mince pies, and the preview text was, this email's got the lot. It got a very good open rate, got really good click rate. I bumped up the number of people that came to both events. So make sure you use a compelling subject line. The timing's really important. And I'm sure somebody at this point is going to go, when is a good time to send my email? That depends. It depends on your list. You need to work out what's a good time for your list. Okay. You do this by measuring. It's when you get the most opens. But opens aren't always reliable these days. They're not, because a lot of the email providers, particularly Apple Mail, Google, Yahoo, they pre-open emails to check that they're safe, so you get bot opens. So test things, make sure you've got good timing. And I'll tell you that most of the opens that will happen in the first 3 hours of you sending your email. There might be dribs and drabs as time goes on, but those first 3 hours are important. So if you see that maybe lots of emails, lots of opens aren't happening in that time frame, but actually there's a chunk that happens later, that's the better time for you to send. And then make sure you've got a really clear call to action. You want people to do something. You need to tell them what that is. It needs to be obvious. Use a button. We all know what to do with buttons. Use a contrasting color for that button. If you're going to use text links, what I always do is my text links are always bolded and underlined, so it's obvious that it's a link. But make sure it's clear what you want people to do. This is something else that trips people up. I know lots of small business owners tell me that they don't know what to say and how to say it. So it's not difficult, and you'll be going, well, you would say that because you do it all the time. But I'm going to give you a little framework to help you to write your emails. So let's talk about this structure. The first thing you want to look at is, what are you trying to do? What's your goal with that email? So that's your headline. That's the thing that's going to stop somebody and in their tracks and go, oh, yeah, I actually need to read this email. Then you need to think about, why should they care? Why should they? They've got, a ton of emails sat in their inboxes. Why should they care about yours? This is what's in it for them. So you have to start off with what you're talking about is going to help your readers. And then the last thing is, what should they do next? This is your call to action. Tell them what it is that you specifically want them to do. In this example, you can see there's a button that says schedule a consultation. So it's very simple. You're not having to write loads of stuff, but look, you can get this together really quickly. This simple formula is going to help you to write the text for your email. And these 3 questions are what you should focus on. So make sure that you are stopping your reader, getting their attention. You're telling them why, what's in it for them, and then you're telling them what to do next. For me, it's all about keeping it simple. There is nothing complicated in putting together an email, and it shouldn't be complicated. It shouldn't take loads of your time. This is all you need: a picture, a paragraph, a call to action. When you put it this simply, there is no reason why you should not be sending regular emails. Because honestly, I promise you, you have loads of things to write about, absolutely loads of things. And all of it is interesting, because small businesses are interesting. We are great. We do everything with passion, and that should come through in your emails. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you about, which is really probably my most one of my most favorite things about email marketing is something that is going to save you loads of time. I'm going to talk to you about email sequences because they are great. They get they get really good open rates. And I know I said, don't put everything on the open rates. But if you send regular emails, are you getting 60% and above on your open rates? You can do that with email sequences. These for me, this is our secret weapon in making sure that the emails that we never get time to send, the ones that that we want to send over and over again, that they actually happen. So what is one? Well, they work while you do. So while you're taking care of your business, your sequences will be welcoming new subscribers into your community for you. And that's just one way you can use them. And people, you'll know that people will get this information and they'll get it in a timely manner. And you're going to go and put your best foot forward. You're going to start building that relationship, having made a really great first impression. If you signed up for my email list, my welcome email will be sitting in your inbox right now while I'm talking to you, because I use email sequences. These are the types of emails that you would send to multiple people multiple times. Let me tell you right now, I don't have time to do this manually, and nor do you. And that's the beauty of email automation, is that you set it up and it works in the background for you. And it sends those emails out that you never have time to send. It does it even while you're asleep. I've just come back from holiday. I landed on Sunday. I went to Sri Lanka. We were 5.5 hours ahead. People were joining my email list and I was still welcoming them. So this is why you should be using email automation. So let's look at maybe how this might work. Let's say we're coming up to Small Business Saturday. Let's say someone's looking for a present for someone special. They do a quick search online for boutiques and they come across your business. They do that either via social media, website, maybe a friend who loves your shop has forwarded your newsletter to them. They're interested in stuff that you've got on your website, but they want more information, or they're hoping for a discount, because we know that stuff happens when you visit a website. They notice that you're advertising a 15% voucher for joining their email list. What do? They decide that they're going to subscribe. You've made sure that a welcome email sequence has been set up, and it sends them that voucher minutes after they sign up. This is great. This person gets that email right after subscribing. You send a bit of information about your business, you thank them for signing up, and you go, ta-da, here's your 50% off voucher. That subscriber is left with a really great first impression of your business, especially now they've got their voucher, right? They decide to buy that present from you, and with coupon in hand, they redeem it. They come in. You've created that great lasting first impression for your business, for your shop. Whereas, using that email automation has sped up that process. That customer leaves and tells their friends about what a great business that you are. And now other people are subscribing too. And soon they're purchasing from your business. This could work for you. And I know it can work because one of my coaching clients has made this work. It's a business called Rocket. They sell, their product is a little contraption that you attach to your baby's pushchair that gently rocks the pushchair. So they came to me for coaching sessions. We had three sessions. After the first session, within a week, they had over 100 subscribers by doing just this, offering this discount for people to subscribe to their email list. So that was at the beginning of this year. I spoke to them. They came on my live podcast I think in September, so maybe 4 or 5 months later, that incentive and that welcome sequence in 4 or 5 months generated over £20,000 worth of sales for them. So this works, and it can work for you. So do make sure that you've got a welcome sequence set up for your business. The last thing that I want to talk to you about email marketing, which alongside email automation is one of my favorite things, is metrics. This is where the magic happens. I know lots of people spend lots of time designing lovely emails and making sure that they get sent out and all of this kind of stuff. They don't look at the reports. And this is such a big shame, because those reports contain gold dust of information. It's going to help you to understand what's working and what isn't. You're also going to be able to take the information from those reports and make some assumptions and think about how else you can use that information in other parts of your marketing. So let's talk about some important metrics that you can look at. So let's talk about the ones that matter. So opens. I've mentioned opens already a couple of times, and I've said don't put too much stock in them, but we have to look at them. We have to sort of say, well, opens do matter to some extent, and they tell you whether when you're sending your email is the right time for your list. So this is going to tell you when you should send your email. And like I said, if you're getting the majority of your opens within that first 3 hours of having sent your email, that's a good time. I sent my newsletter last Tuesday. I had scheduled it. I remember that I was 5.5 hours ahead. So I thought I'd scheduled it for 1:15 UK time. And it went out at 7:40 a.m. I got an incredible open rate. I was like, oh my God. At first I was thinking, oh, that was such a silly mistake. I should have checked. But then I looked at the open rate and it was brilliant. And it was pretty much, not what I expected, because I've been sending at lunchtime all the time. So I'm going to try and do that for a few weeks to see if that consistently works better for me than sending at lunchtime. Happened completely by accident. But because I looked at that report, I understood what happened. The next thing I want you to focus on is bounces. These are emails that don't reach inboxes, and they bounce for a number of reasons. It might be that the email address is incorrect. It might be that it doesn't exist anymore. So you need to look at those and understand why they're happening and clean them out. Clean them out. If that email address doesn't exist anymore, get it off your list. You're being charged for having that email address on your list. If you clean your list after every send, it becomes less of a mundane task. Because if you do it once a year, I can tell you, it's like spring cleaning. You don't want to do it. You know you should do it. You know you should be cleaning out the cupboards and all of that kind of stuff, but you don't want to do it. But if you do it a bit of time, it does get done. And that means that you've got a clean list, better results, you're saving money. And then the last one is unsubscribes. You need to understand why people are unsubscribing. You can turn on in your email marketing tool, you can turn on the feedback so that people can tell you why they're unsubscribing. And if they tell you that you're getting too many emails from you, you have to go back and look at what you promised them in terms of frequency and what you are doing. But don't stress over unsubscribes. Okay, if it's time for people to leave, if they've outgrown what the information that you're sending, which is entirely possible, that happens to me because I talk a lot about beginner stuff, and if somebody's now gone past that and wants more advanced stuff, well, they're going to unsubscribe because what I'm telling them isn't relevant anymore, and that's okay. You focus your energies on the people that decide to stay. So understand why each one of those happens. Use that data to help you make real marketing decisions. Use that data from your email reports, Make sure you're looking at your social media reports, the insights. Look at that together and see what's working and what isn't. You do not want to spend time, effort, and money on things that do not work. Okay, so look at the reports and use them to help you make sound marketing decisions that bring more people to your business. Focus particularly on click-throughs. The clicks tell you whether your email is interesting to people or not. If they click on things, they're telling you, yes, that's a bit of me. So look at those clicks and look at what they're clicking on. What format did you put that thing in? Was it because it was a download? Was it because it was a video? Analyze that information to help you give them more of the content that they love, which means you get better results. Now, I firmly believe that you have an advantage. You have your connection to your customers. This is our superpower as small businesses. We know our customers. We know them inside out. We know what they like and what they don't like. I only work with a handful of people at a time because it is just me and my business. Unfortunately, I'm not scalable. So I know things about my customers, and that's my connection to them. Big businesses don't have that. They don't. This is what makes us stand out. So if you're scared about getting started, I've got 3 simple steps that I want you to follow. Get your contact list together. It can be any number of people. You can ask friends if you can put them on your email list so that you can start sending. I tell this story every time when I talk about getting your contact list together. And in fact, I told it to a client of mine on Tuesday night who was disappointed that his email list wasn't growing as fast as he'd hoped. I started with 2 people on my email list, my husband and me. That's it. Because I needed somebody to send my email to. And once I'd created an email and sent it, I could share it. I could share a link to it on social media. I could send it to people. I could share that link with individual people who started to understand what I was going to send. And that's how I started growing my list. So get that contact list together, create an email and hit send, because if it sits as a draft in your email software, you're not going to know anything. So hit send, do it regularly, add more people to your list, send more regular emails, and then watch what happens. Look at those reports and look and see what people are doing. It's really exciting. It really is. I love looking at my reports. But these 3 simple steps will just help you to get going. And if you're nervous, don't be, because what's the worst that can happen? There isn't. There's nothing, awful that's going to happen. You just need to believe in yourself and believe in your business and know that you've got good things to tell your target audience. Okay. I gave you a bit of a structure to follow to put your email together. But I do have a cheat sheet that details how I put my emails together, my template. If you would like that, you can scan that QR code. It's free. I'll send it to you, and you'll get a couple of other emails from me with resources that will help you. But this cheat sheet has the exact format that I use for my emails, and it works for me. And I use that format for my clients' emails, and it works for them. Sometimes I switch it up and I add bits and take bits away, but this is the kind of base format that I use. So if you would like that, please scan that QR code, and my email sequence will send it to you straight away. Karen, I'm going to hand back. I could see the chat was going, so I'm hoping there are questions.
Hello, thank you, Minal. That was brilliant. So good, really interesting. We have got questions. Are you ready? Have a little drink. Okay, I'm sorry if you've answered a few of these, but let's go through. So, Stephanie, hi Stephanie, how do you stop the service provider's emails going to junk and spam? That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so try not to use spammy subject lines. So don't put in lots of exclamations. If you're going to use emojis, don't use like 10 of them. So all of like, using exclamation marks, emojis. I sometimes even use the word free in my subject line. But don't overdo it. Make sure that you have also authenticated your domain. So every email service provider will have guidance on how to do that. And basically what you're doing is you're taking a bit of code that they give you and you're going to your domain provider and authenticating your sender with that domain provider. So every email marketing software will tell you how to do it for them, but make sure you've done that so that it's almost like you're being marked as a safe sender, like a legitimate business. So do that, and it takes a little bit of time for it to activate, but your software will tell you when it's done that. But quality, give your readers quality. Also, I don't stress massively about my emails going to spam because of the way that I look at my spam folder, because I check it at least once a day to make sure that things that I'm expecting haven't ended up in there. So I use it almost as a second inbox and then take out the stuff that I want to land in my inbox. I tell Outlook, please, no, don't mark this as spam. Make sure it goes to my inbox. But value, add value, and people will then start marking you as a safe sender. They'll want you in their inbox, but don't, unless like all of your emails are going to spam, I wouldn't stress too much about it, because I think every service provider has the same thing. But when you think about the deliverability rate being in the high 90%, that's not a lot of emails that will go into spam.
Brilliant, thank you. Refia, I hope I've said that correctly. What mailing service are you using, and what's really good for beginners?
Constant contact and constant contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's incredible how easy it is to use, because we're all used to using our mouses and dragging and dropping stuff. So if you know drag and drop, you already know constant contact. It's they actually their target market is small businesses, so it's businesses of between 1 and 20 people, and everything within their platform is built on the same user interface. So whether you're using the newsletter, the email part, or the automation part, or their event tool or their survey tool, it all works off the same UI. So once you've got to know one bit, all the rest of it is easy. So that's what I use, and that's what I recommend, and that's what I use with quite a lot of my clients.
Amazing, thank you. And there's other ones as well, but constant contact, we use it as well. It's a goodie. My client has customers who didn't initially opt in, but haven't unsubscribed either. Can I still email these customers? And if not, how can I encourage them to subscribe?
Oh, nobody's ever asked me that question. If they haven't unsubscribed, I'd almost be tempted to say leave it as it is.
Right. Yeah, just leave. I mean, they would have unsubscribed if they didn't want to hear
Yeah.
fully.
So I would take the lack of unsubscribes to be yes, I want to receive these emails.
Yeah, definitely. If you are a service-based business, what incentive could you offer instead of a discount, would you say?
A cheat sheet,
Mm-hmm.
an ebook, a free 10-minute consultation, a webinar that you've not made public that you would give to anyone that signs up. So I do, for my email list, I do a webinar 4 times a year just for them. No one else gets invited. So you could do something like that. Yeah, lots of different things. But think about what you offer and how you can make that part of the thing that you use as the incentive for people to join up.
Yeah. Just a few bits about metrics now. So what does a good metric look like? So what's a good open rate and what's a good click-through rate? Or is that as long as as long as a piece of string vibe?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I've got at the beginning of every year, like loads of all the email marketing providers and anyone that's in the email marketing world will issue these reports. So at the beginning of this year, one of the reports that I read said good average open rate is 25%, and a good average click rate is about 2%. But that's average across loads of different industries. So I would focus on what you're doing and how you can improve your open rate and your click rate. So you'll in your email marketing software, you'll be able to look back at, let's say you send every month, you'll be able to look back on this year and look back at 12 emails that you've sent and 12 reports, and you'll be able to work out your average, and then you can set yourself a goal for next year that says, my average open rate is this, so I want to increase it by this. My average click rate is this, and I'm going to increase it by this next year. And then you work out how you're going to do that. I would not focus on comparing yourself to other people, and just look at what's happening with your list and how you can make improvements that work for you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Should you use clickable pictures and word links? And if so, is it still only 3 per email?
Absolutely. Like pictures, always always link them to something. I would say I try and stick to one main image per email, because we do open emails on our phones, and not everybody has their default settings to download images. And if you have loads of images, or your email is one big image and that's what you've done, you've uploaded one image as your email, people won't see that. So use images, but I would say use them sparingly because of things like downloading stuff. Absolutely link them off to whatever it is that you want people to look at. So if you're, let's say you're a product-based business and you're talking about 3 products and you've got an image per product, well, make sure that that image goes straight to that product page on your website, because if people have to look for it, they'll give up within seconds, and they'll bounce off your websites. And take people to the place that you're signposting in your email. Don't make them work to find it. And I can't remember the second part of that question.
Is it 3 per email?
So I would say 3 is a good number, because we, as human beings, we remember odd patterns more easily. And I read somewhere that 3 is the number that we remember the most, that we can keep in our heads. But like, if you want to put more, it's up to you. Put more, but then monitor what happens. Like, so if you want to put 5 things in there or 8 things in there, do that, and then look and see what happens. And if people are reading to the bottom, one of my clients, he sends a newsletter for our local town, and it goes out every Monday. This Monday's email had about 15 things in it. I still scrolled to the bottom of the email because I'm interested in what's going on in my town. He is my absolute outlier, because his emails always have lots of things in them.
Yeah.
His open and click rates are phenomenal.
Amazing.
Talking about things that people are interested in. So try it, look at the reports, gauge what you should do based on what's happening.
Yeah, brilliant. Another one here, it's a good one. It's hello Michelle. I sell original lino cut prints and sell online courses and workshops. My monthly newsletter is very full with info, as it's for both customer types. My contact list is segmented to a point, but a lot of my customers buy prints and do courses. Do you have any suggestions? So should you have separate for those, or should you merge? What would be your advice?
I'd say look at what they've bought before and what you want them to buy next. So it's the Amazon thing. Customers who bought this also bought this. So you can do that. It depends on what email marketing tool you're using, but you should be able to, at the very least, tag your contacts in your contact system with what they've bought previously, and then use those tags to be able to send to them the next thing that you want them to do or buy. So the more you can target people with relevant information, the more success you're going to have. If you send everything to everyone, it's and there's lots in because you send monthly, it's probably going to not be as successful as, say, if you send weekly, but you have 4 different emails going out and those 4 things are really targeted. You'll get more success with that. And yeah, so I would look at what people have bought previously and then put them into lists for the next thing that you want them, like the next course that you want them to buy, or the next thing that you want them to do.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And just Sally, on the bit you spoke about before, about going to your end of your client's email when he had all the links, how do they monitor that? Is it just what you've clicked through?
Yeah.
How do you know? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Perfect. And let me see, I've got one more left probably. Let's see. Oh yeah, is it better to use a work email or like a Gmail or something else when signing up for newsletters?
If you're signing up, I mean, I get a combination. So people will sign up with Gmail or Outlook or Yahoo, and then other people will sign up with an actual domain work email. I prefer the work emails because then I can do a bit of digging and find out more about the business. Because I try and segment my new subscribers at the point that they join my email list. And my segmentation is really simple. It's whether they're a product business or a service business, and whether they're B2B or B2C, and whether they're UK based or international. So it's very simple. It's not involved at all. But I would say, I've forgotten the question again. Sorry.
Work email versus not
work email versus. So either, but I would recommend that when you're sending your email, you try and do it through your specific domain, because then you can authenticate it with your domain provider. I know, I think every email provider will do this, but if you send with a Gmail or a Yahoo domain, they will authenticate it for you, but it'll put a little thing on the end of your email address, which your readers won't see, but so they'll authenticate it, but it's not the same as you having your own domain and authenticating it with your domain provider.
Right. So thank you. This all that leaves me to do is say thank you, Minal. That was amazing, as always. So much in there. We will be sending out a recording of this. So if you're like, I need to have a think about that again, I need to go through it. We will be sending out to all that's registered. So I really appreciate you joining us. I hope you found that as useful as we did, and have a really lovely day. Keep following Small Business Saturday. Keep looking out for our future webinars, and we'll see you very soon. Thanks, Minal. See you later. Thanks, everyone. Bye.